Hello, excellent scientists. I want to model for you how to hook up your PASCO AirLink Probeware to your iPad and how you could start an experiment. So what I would do is I would go into my settings, and in my settings you can see I already have had some AirLinks there before. I'm going to turn the AirLink on, and when I do that, you can see it's looking for devices. The AirLink that I have just turned on is number 15391. So I think you can see that up there. So I'm going to select 15391. You can see it's working it. And okay, so now I am connected. So now I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to open up my SPARKVue Probeware, and here it is in the bottom left hand corner. You can see SPARKVue, so I'm selecting SPARKVue. Now I have connected it to an oxygen sensor, and for our purposes in our lab, I'm going to be measuring it, and I want to set up how I want to take those readings. So I picked the plus button next to the home, and I'm going to take the third one down on the right that looks something like this, and I'm going to take my readings digitally over here, and it says select measurement. I will select measurement, and for our purposes we want it in parts per trillion. You can see it's coming in parts per million, O2 concentration, so I'm selecting over on the right, parts per million. I'm going to switch it to parts per trillion. And then on the right, I want a graph, so I'm going to select in the top left-hand corner the graph button. And now I just need to select my measurement here. I want it to be in parts per trillion. And if I want this to go away, select the bottom right-hand button. I'm going to just push this away over here. And you can see time is in seconds. I'm going to change time to minutes. All right? So O2 concentration, parts per trillion, and time is in minutes. Okay, in my vial, just for starters, I am going to be adding, I'm going to make a 1.5% solution of hydrogen peroxide with a 0.5 ml of catalase. I have added the catalase. I'm gently putting the sensor on top so gas can escape, and I'm pushing play. It's now going to take the readings for me, and I can have this run for a minute, which I'm going to do, but I'm going to pause the recording and then I'll pick it up here at a minute. You're going to see it jumping around a little bit because for the length of time that it's running. So I'm going to take a quick pause. All right, it's run for a little bit, and as you can see in this bottom corner here, this is the time. So if I wanted to say at 1 minute, look at my reading at parts per trillion, I could try to jot it down and go, okay, and now it's 195 in parts per trillion. But I will show you another way to get that data. You can see I have just one run going. You can see the graph is adjusting as the time passes, and I'm letting this entire run go for 3 minutes, so I'll catch you again after it's run a little bit longer. All right, we're coming up here on the last 10 seconds or so of this run, and I can even change where instead of it saying run 1, I can change it to 1.5% solution. So we're doing our lab for 3 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it now. And the way to stop the recording of this data is in the bottom left-hand corner. There is a stop button. So I hit stop, and now I can do another run of that same experiment. All right, so now I have emptied my vial multiple times and rinsed, because that catalase tends to stay in there. This time I'm going to run a 3% solution of hydrogen peroxide and a 0.5 ml of catalase. And once I've added it and set the top on, I can hit the play button in the bottom left-hand corner. And now I'm running this lab again. Be careful that you don't press too hard when you insert the top because a lot of oxygen will build up within the container, and then you don't want it to pop off and then you don't have any readings at all. So just be aware of that. Here I can see my trend line again with my 3%, see if it's going about the same initially and if there are any changes. Go ahead and pause the recording for just a little bit. We'll let some of the time go in our experiment. As you can see now, the experiment is run for 1.5 minutes, and the graph is automatically adjusting itself to what it needs on the axis. I'm making sure again that the stopper is not on there too firmly, otherwise it will pop off. I just wanted to be able to read the change. Doesn't have to be a vacuum, right? Because you know the pressure would build up if you sealed it entirely. You can definitely see a different trend line with 3% here in run 2 than 1.5%. So we're almost at 3 minutes. Again, if I wanted to look in the bottom left-hand corner that I've circled there with red, I could see time and just catch the readings as I went along. But again, I will show you a way to more accurately take those readings fairly simply. I'll pause just a moment. All right, so I'm ending my experiment here. I've gone 3 minutes. So in the bottom left-hand corner, next to the time I have circled, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. Now I want to take my readings in part per trillion and be able to record them in my lab notebook. So just to the bottom here, let me get up here on the smartboard, this button right here. If I tap that, I'll get a few options. And the one that I am really after is this option right here. And that option will give me a line that I can manipulate. That line right there, I can move it to any time that I want to in this experiment. Remember that I have the settings at a minute, so I want to go to if I want to go to a half a minute, I need to go to 0.5. And when I get to 0.5, I can adjust it a little bit if I want to. I can see that in the purple box, run 1, the reading was 179, and run 2, the 3% solution was 182. So I can record that. Then I can move to a minute and can adjust that a little bit if I need to with a little arrow so I can get it exactly to a minute. And I can see that run 1 in purple was 195 and run 2 in green was 196. And again, I'm going to move to 1.5 minutes. Get it exactly right here. Maybe exactly right. There we go. And I can see there's a big difference there, and I can record it as 1.5. Now, you'll notice as you start to, you can do that for all of your readings for all 3 minutes. And I get over here, I can't really see my numbers. All I need to do then is put my hand on the graph and just move the graph over, move the graph down, and then I have more visibility on my graph so I can get to my 0, and I can see all the numbers that I need. Okay? So from there you can record and go ahead and graph the data yourself. You can also export this into your Google Drive if you wanted to as well, and put it, you can do it through sharing. You hit the share button and you could share the image on the iPad and just log into your account and access it there as well. All right, so I hope that was helpful on how to use the Probeware for your Catalase lab.